And welcome to another episode of Football the Pod. I'm your host, Commissioner Ben. Welcome to Football the Pod, Season 4, Episode 3. And just like that, we are off to the races. We are already recording right away on this Tuesday, September 9th, right after a week one filled with intense football excitement, endless fantasy duds, and I have to say, no nail-biting matchups for us, but still tons to discuss. Don't worry. Sometimes it's nice to get those easy, stress-free wins in your pocket to start the year. Nothing wrong with that. But before we get into all that, of course, it's time for Just a Tip with Commissioner Ben. Well, today's tip can be summed up in 3 words. Forget the draft. Week 1 is over, which means we may as well be months away from the draft. Forget about draft value. You had your chance to roster bait. Now it's time to reset your priors and move on with new data. Don't be fixed on who you thought you had a week ago. Take in what happened this week to adjust to the new reality. Sure, your players probably had down weeks, but maybe there's a receiver situation or an RB1, RB2 split that has already made itself clear. I mean, take a look at Tank Bigsby, potential RB1 on Jacksonville just 1 week ago. And now already yesterday he got traded to Philly to be the obvious backup on the team to Saquon or even the kick returner. So take in new info as you get it. And when you're looking at trades or the waiver wire, don't be concerned with draft value. We care about current and future value now. And that was just a tip with Commissioner Ben. And now, to help break down our first week of the season, quickly entering fantasy veteran status, at least in running back years, and feeling much better about herself after being highlighted by Murph as a top 5 draft team last week, and following that up with a dominating week 1 victory. Let's welcome back onto the pod, turning on the video a little bit early, but that's okay, we're working on it. For the first time in season 4, Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Sorry for my premature entrance.
It's okay. We're figuring things out here on video, so
we didn't practice beforehand.
By season 6, it'll be maybe better. But all right, last year was a bit of a depressing season for you. I have to say, it definitely brought down the house fantasy vibes. It was weighing on me too. So, what did you do to change that right off the bat this year?
I listened to less fantasy football podcasts.
Yeah, but that's only because Justin Boone left the score and he didn't want to listen to the long
true.
Yahoo podcast.
Yeah, I can't listen to men just chit-chat for an hour at a time.
Well, that's why we have you on, so everybody can not just have that experience. And all right, as a reminder, everybody, if you have any questions, if you have anything you'd like me to talk about with our guests, if you want any anonymous shoutouts, or you simply want to keep pressuring Daniel to come onto the pod, let me know. Hell, even do it in the YouTube way and leave a comment. That would be funny. All right, well, at the very least, we'll break down all the trades and all the big fab drops that happen as the year goes on, but there's always room for some new excitement. But let's get into it. On to fantasy with our main segment, the first one of the year, the week in review. And so, as always, we start off with a fan favorite, the week 1 winner of the highly coveted Poopy Football Award. Sarah, you do the honors. Who's our week 1 pooper?
Well, our week 1 pooper, to no one's surprise, is Brent. Unfortunately, I'll get into this a bit later. It wasn't even his strategy of just drafting Green Bay players that did it for him, but he's the one that's in the shitter this week.
All right, well, don't need to rub it in more just yet. There'll be more time for that. I will say, Brent, 91 points. Last year, week 1 Poopy Football Award winner was you, Sarah. With 90 points. So, very similar starts. I mean, I don't know what that means. Just fun to compare, I guess. And you know what, Brent? Don't be so down. You're the new owner of 15 fake dollars. Go ahead, check your Yahoo account. It's already in there. You've got 115 fab dollars now. Let's go out there and spend it on a shiny new quarterback to make up for that third round Jordan Love selection. All right, on to the high score, the first champion of the week of the year, starting things off on top, thanks to easily the number one fantasy player of the week in Josh Allen, who scored almost 43 points on his own, leading to 151 in total for Brandon. That is right, this week's champ. Big congrats to Brandon, who will take home our lofty week one prize of 15 real dollars. Not happening right away. That, of course, happens in 4 months. So it will be by voice, at least by announcement, an early birthday present. Happy 2-day early birthday to you, Brandon, if you are of course, listening to this, on this Tuesday, September 9th.
And he is a real person.
And Brandon is a real person. Yes, yeah, thanks for confirming that, Sarah. Yep. And, you'll receive your money in the mail in 4 months, but that's besides the point. And, 151 this year. Last year, week one winner was Cassie with 148. So, you know what? We're quite aligned with how we're going last year. So I don't know how that makes you feel, but let's get into it more. Time for our matchup breakdowns. And you know what? With video, we can try something new this year. We can give you the live look in at where we are coming up with these results ourselves. So here we go. Live on the screen now. We have our first matchup of the week. Let's start right at the top with, myself against Eddie, and Eddie's team instantly embodied their new team name. As you can see, Crashy Rice crashed and burned its way to a 134 to 109 loss. Sarah, break this one down for us.
Yeah, I mean, your 15th round pick really led you to victory here. Justin Herbert.
QB2 overall in the week.
Yeah, crazy. After Josh Allen, I'm assuming. Exceeded expectations with an almost 34 points finishing, while your first round pick had a less than impressive showing, with less than 5 points
there he is,
from
with
Jamar
only 4.6 for Jamar there. That is true.
Yeah, that's a sad start to the season, but it's only week one. And then you had a couple other really notable players on your team. So Emike Egbuka had a great showing.
That's one way to say it.
How do you pronounce his name?
I don't know. I just said that's one way to say it.
Okay, all right. With his Buccaneers debut.
Wide receiver 4 on the week.
Yeah. So if I were you, I would play him again.
I think I will.
Yeah. And then Eddie, let's talk about Eddie, on the other hand. He at least was able to pass the 100-point mark, unlike Brent, this week. And I would say that's due to the one and only CMC, who had a bunch of targets and, a bunch of rushing yards and played the game like he usually plays the game when he's playing well. And this is why he's a good fantasy player.
Wow, great analysis. Yeah, 69 rushing yards indeed, 73 receiving, 23.2 points. Didn't even score a touchdown, but still was running back 3 on the week. So yeah, I mean, it's looking like all those CMC haters are going to be down in the dumps as he is on the way to a strong season again. Great analysis, and we'll see what that means for Eddie's season moving forward with CMC back. Well, for now, doing okay. However, the San Francisco 49ers just lost George Kittle to IR for at least 4 weeks. Brock Purdy might not be playing, so who knows if they're going to hang on. But that just means even more work for CMC. Mm-hmm. But let's move on to our next matchup, which will be Mike versus Brent. Let me find it right here. New team name, the Kittle Titty Committee, is going to be extremely disappointed now after losing those titties. And what a treat, though. We get a fantasy championship rematch to kick off the season. And really, as you can see, Aaron started it just like he ended it last year with his favorite player, Lamar Jackson, running all over the newly anointed Kittle Titty Committee, 148 to 124. Lamar still managed a QB4 finish. I mean, 33 and a bit points, just like 0.6 points behind Big Herb for who was second. So QBs like 2 through 5 are all quite strong. Let's take a look at what happened with this matchup. And, the much maligned Garrett Wilson, Aaron took some heat during the draft for drafting him. I would not have been confident in Garrett Wilson, but he gets 22 points. Good for, again, a top wide receiver on the week, just outside of the top 5. But he got over a 30% target share from Justin Fields, and if he's just going to keep airing it out and playing reasonably well, then Garrett Wilson is going to be a smash pick where he went. Rome Odunze does in fact look like the top receiver on Chicago now, even though Caleb Williams has got a lot of passing to figure out. Josh Jacobs just keeps on scoring touchdowns. That's 9 games in a row dating back to last year that he has recorded a touchdown. So a great game for him. I mean, look, this is what you like to see in a fantasy lineup. Look at these points. So it's almost just perfectly symmetric from highest points to lowest points. Only Bucky Irving puts it slightly out of order. All of your top players getting at least 10 points. Tucker Kraft just below that. Who cares about kickers and defense? Where's Mike? Mike, come on. What are you doing playing the Baltimore defense? Yes, they're a great defense against Buffalo, though. One of the top teams. I mean, that's okay. Didn't make the difference in the end, but okay, losing Drake London definitely hurt. Keenan Allen could be a steal, but same with Travis Etienne. I mean, things are looking good for Mike's roster, but he's going to have to find another tight end on the waiver wire and needs bigger games from Chase Brown moving forward. I'm not too worried about Mike's roster, I have to say. But it was not good enough this week. Let's move on to our third matchup. We are looking at now you, Sarah, playing against those handsomer boys. However, I would much more call them as we saw in the draft, Cassie's ugly boys this year. Sarah taking them down 139 to 113. Sarah, break down this matchup for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this shows that looks aren't everything. And that really worked out for me this week. I owe my success to Zay Flowers, who...
Wide receiver 1 on the week by 5 points.
Yeah, crazy. Based on our discussions, had the best game of his life. So lucky me. With 143 receiving yards, receiving TD, and 9 targets. So hopefully the volume keeps up for him.
And, we still had Derrick Henry, in fact, slightly outscore Zay Flowers. So really those top 2 players canceled themselves out. Derrick Henry, the RB1 on the week by 5 points. But, Derrick Henry may have been the downfall. That transitions us into a new segment. For the first time, we have the fumble of the week. Let's take a look at the real fumble of the week first. Here he is, Derrick Henry, getting that ball punched out in this critical game of real-life football, Baltimore against Buffalo. Look at that. He had an incredible game, loses the ball, gets punched out. Buffalo jumps on it, down by 8 with a few minutes left. And that was the final turning point that let Buffalo take over the game, finish it off. Still incredibly impressive. All right. That brings us to Cassie's fumble of the week. Sarah, what is our fantasy football league fumble of the week?
Well, what is our fantasy football league's fumble of the week? Derrick Henry.
And how does that apply to Cassie?
How does that apply to Cassie? Well, I mean, she has Derrick Henry on her roster.
All right, this is a work in progress segment, obviously.
I was I think you stole a lot of my thunder there, Ben.
Well, see, the segment is where the guest calls out the fumble of the week by their opponent.
Ah, okay. Well, this is the fumble of Cassie's week.
See, I would have said the fumble of Cassie's week was playing the Buffalo defense against Baltimore,
Yes,
one of the
that
top offensive. Remember, we talked about this, but it's all right.
we talked
Yeah,
about this.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. We'll workshop this.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. See, this is a learning experience for everybody, so everyone's going to see
Yeah.
this and now know what's going on for next time. But the
Yeah.
awesome music will stay. I'm sure there'll be more real life fumbles and fake fumbles to move
Yeah.
forward. So there you go. If you're the guest, you get to call out the fumble of the week by your opponent. So just another awesome reason to come join the show. Let's move on to our fourth matchup. We've got Daniel against Jason. Let's see if I can find the matchup here. Very easy because, Daniel's got one of the most classic team names, Daniel's Dandy Team. And this, well, was an easy win. For the Fear Boners, beating our mystery man 137 to 111. And, all right, the much maligned James Cook dropping so far down in the draft. He was like the 4th round pick or something like that, or a late 3rd at the very least. RB4 on the week. Didn't get many yards, but he had 5 receptions and that rushing touchdown. That's going to be enough in really an overall pretty low scoring running back week. Kyler had a bounce back game thanks to getting these rushing yards. I mean, the quarterbacks basically cancel each other out. You can never fault yourself playing Jalen Hurts, but I mean, an almost equivalent performance by Kyler Murray like 3 rounds later. Really, this game came down to the duds. And let's look at the roster. I mean, the top players, in fact, the star player, the 1st round draft pick from Daniel, you need more than 8.5 points out of the Sun God. If those are getting canceled out by, a later round DeAndre Swift, then you've got some problems. But, I mean, really, the steal, the turning point of this matchup, I would say, is Cedric Tillman. What a start by Jason playing Cedric Tillman, the presumed, 3rd or even 4th pass catcher on Cleveland, is picking up where he left off pre-injury last year with Joe Flacco, getting that receiving touchdown and 5 receptions, over 50 yards. It seems a play moving forward, but that flex spot made all the difference with Josh Jones just not seeing the targets from Daniel Jones. Those all came to Michael Pittman. And there we have it. Let's move on to our matchup number 5. We've got Scott versus Nick. Let's find their matchup. Here we go. And I will say, Baker Hardly Knower did sustain a dislocated shoulder by way of Xavier Worthy to still cruise past a completely listless Scott 127 to 105. Sarah, walk everyone through the keys to Nick's victory here.
Yeah, I mean, Nick really came out on top, even with a very early exit from Xavier Worthy. And you want to know why? Because of Deebo Samuels. He had a great game. Started off the season real hot with 7 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown.
Deebo Samuel, it doesn't really matter, but he had a great start. That's right. He was a resurgent player, wide receiver 6 on the week. Go on.
Yeah. And otherwise, besides, Baker Mayfield outperforming Brock Purdy, Nick also had the top defense on the week with Denver, which added him a couple extra points, which helped. And otherwise for Scott, no one besides his kicker and QB got above 13 points. So he just had a really disappointing showing from his team.
Yeah, absolutely. Great call there. Things are looking pretty sketchy so far for a whole bunch of Scott's players. Tyreek Hill, Miami, it just looks to be a disaster. Isaiah Pacheco, who knows what's going on with the Chiefs' backfield. Cooper Kupp, looks like every pass from Sam Darnold is going to go to Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN. And so that's 3 pretty highly drafted picks there from Scott that are already looking a bit fishy. Maybe he's going to have to hit the trade market early on. I will say this matchup featured the number 1 kicker on the week against the number 1 defense on the week. And, 16.6 is pretty impactful for a kicker. But, no completely dominating kicker or defense scores early on. Let's move on to our 6th matchup, the second last matchup. Let's go down to find Brandon against Sean. Where are they here? That is, of course, Grady Committee, our champion, week 1 champ of the week, and also our first blowout of the week with our champ humbling Sean 151 to 112. And I mean, what more can you say? Now you clearly see it here with Josh Allen, 42.76 points, 9 more than the next best overall player in fantasy this week, and the wide receiver 5 on the week in Puka Nacua, still going strong. Look at this line, 130 yards, 10 receptions. He doesn't even need to score a touchdown. I mean, he doesn't really score touchdowns, but can you imagine if he does, he'll just be a complete league winner. Sean did have Bijan Robinson looking pretty strong. He was the RB2 on the week. He had that crazy long reception. He was looking much more like a receiver than a running back. Look at this, 100 receiving yards, 6 receptions, and 1 reception touchdown. That is 22 points from a running back, all from like wide receiver receiving points. Only 2.4 of his points were from actual rushing, but that's that's what you get when you draft Bijan. Everything else, and there's nothing really much to add in this matchup. However, this JSN pick, like I said, is looking real strong. His fantasy game would have been a lot better if he hadn't fumbled twice, but Bo Nix, I mean, I had my questions about Bo Nix. I would not have taken him as an early quarterback, but he can definitely bounce back. Tennessee is not a scary defense, so it's a bit scary to have a poor showing so early on. And Breece Hall fell way down many draft boards. He was taken early in our draft, and that looks to be for good reason, as he is clearly the running back one, on the Jets again this year. Not too much more to say in this matchup against a whole bunch of disappointments on Sean's roster, especially George Pickens early on. Going to need either the newly acquired George Pickens or, the long-time Philadelphia Eagle, Devontae Smith, to start doing something, or the times are going to be tough for Sean. But Brandon looking strong with Josh Allen and Puka Nacua. I mean, you always have a chance for victory. And I will say right now that since every matchup was won by at least 20 points, there was not a single tight butt hold this week. So that award is put on hold for week 1. Everyone who lost just fell completely flat.
Kind of sad. I love a tight butt hole.
And that's good to know. Okay, moving on to our final matchup of the week. Let's go right over here to Je ne sais quoi, who, we end with a whimper, I will say, and a lingering whiff of poop, as we already know how this went down for our Poopy Football Award winner, suffering a 117-91 stinker to Christine. Sarah, I'm sure you know how Christine's feeling starting off the year 1-0 after a tough start last year. What do you have to say about this matchup?
It's a nice feeling, for sure. I mean, funnily enough, besides that, what's his name? Matthew Golden.
Yep.
Yeah. The other players from Green Bay, Jordan Love and then the Green Bay defense actually didn't do terrible. So we can't even blame Green Bay for Brent's demise this week. And, you can see, funnily enough, Jordan Love had a much better showing than Joe Burrow did.
Extremely disappointing game 1 for Joe Burrow, but he historically is just bad in week 1 in the NFL for some reason.
It's those beginning of the season nerves. He's been too focused on dinosaurs and other shit during the offseason.
Too much filming of the quarterback show.
That's true.
Lost out on training.
Yeah, but for Brent, he had some really disappointing players, namely in Nico Collins and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown especially, with under 2 points, which is pathetic.
Top 2 draft picks. Those were, I would say, good draft picks in the first 2 rounds from Brent. People had extremely high hopes for Nico Collins this year, and A.J. Brown is normally boom or bust, but you expect more than 1 target in the game, especially against Dallas, who should have a pretty weak defense against pass catchers. So yeah, that's definitely scary to see for him early on. Green Bay was not his downfall. It was his early drafted wide receivers. So who knows? Maybe he's got to make a trade early on too. Just trying to get those trades going. Mm-hmm. Anything else to add there, Sarah?
Well, say a couple things about Christine as well. I'm going to point out Keon Coleman on her team, who
What a game by Keon Coleman. You're right.
What a game. Had a really great week. And
wide receiver 2 on the week.
Yeah, to quote Yahoo, the match recap, Keon Coleman flexed their muscles with 25.2 points this week. And so hopefully he continues to flex his muscles moving forward for Christine.
Wow, great analysis from Yahoo and Sarah combined. Love getting the exact word for word Yahoo lines. Sometimes they know what to say.
Sometimes they're wise.
Yeah, taking a look at their benches, neither team has as much help coming from the bench. Maybe you could flash in Romeo Dobbs there for Brent. I mean, Nick Chubb is not going to last too long. But that's it. Let's stop sharing. That ends the week 1 wrap. And the weekend of football certainly had it all. I hope you were all watching Sunday Night Football as well, regardless of your fantasy implications in that game. If that didn't give you a Nick Chubb, then I don't know what we're even doing here. But finally, since it is Tuesday, let's try out a new segment. We've got waivers rolling tonight, and instead of giving you our top picks, I'm simply going to rattle off who I think will be the most coveted players at each position. And Sarah will let us know if the top picks are a smash or a pass, in terms of the ad, of course. Let's give it a go. At quarterback, it hurts to say this, but the top ad is clearly Daniel Jones. Sarah, smash or pass?
Smash.
There you go. Get him in your lineup. That's it. Get him for you, quarterback. He's getting those 2 rushing touchdowns as well. I mean, he can rush, so that's all you need in fantasy. Moving on to wide receiver, a bunch of options, as is often the case, even in our deep league. Starting at the top with 2-touchdown Quentin Johnston, followed by Calvin Austin on Pittsburgh and Kayshon Boutte, what a fun name to say, New England wide receiver, led New England in receiving. What do you think about those 3 players, Sarah?
I don't know the second 2. But
all right, fair enough. I guess that means pass.
I would say pass. But, what's the first guy's name? Williams? James? What's his name?
Which first guy? Any player I said. There's no Williams in any player
wide
I said.
Receiver. Okay.
Perhaps you're thinking of QJ, Quentin Johnston. Williams and Johnston, they're both common last names, so I see what you did there.
Yeah, I don't know where my mind went there. He had an amazing game. Will that continue? I don't know. Maybe. It's the beginning of the season. It's hard to tell. So I'll say pass for now, or smash for now. No, smash, not pass. Those are the opposite. So
you're confusing our listeners here. All right, we're smashing QJ, and Sarah's passing on Calvin Austin and Kayshon Boutte. For now, let's move on to running back, which is light as usual. And so it's an RB timeshare and rookie destroyer as my only ad this week in Kenny Gainwell, Pittsburgh running back. Maybe the RB 1, 2, or 3. Who knows? What do you think, Sarah? Oh, Sarah's choking to death over there. I don't know what's going on. Kenny Gainwell is making Caleb Johnson on my roster feel real sad. Are you alive now?
I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, are you smashing or passing Kenny Gainwell?
It's the beginning of the season, so we'll smash.
There you go. Get those backup RB2s on your roster. Certainly if Jalen Warren goes down, and Kenny Gainwell would be maybe an okay play. Moving on to tight ends. There are a whole bunch of tight ends available because tight end just sucks. That is a bad position. Tight end was incredibly flat this week. The tight end 1 on the week, Jawan Johnson, is available on the waiver wire. And you know what? There was 16 tight ends who had at least 10 points. So that 15-10 spread, I mean, there's so many tight ends out there. So I'm going to throw out tight end 1, Jawan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints, and tight end 6, rookie on Cleveland, Harold Fannin Jr. What do you think about these guys? Smash or pass?
Who else does New Orleans have going for them?
New Orleans has very little going for them, but they certainly do not have another tight end. New Orleans, they've got Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed at wide receiver.
All right, then let's say smash. And then the other guy, what team is he on?
Harold Fannin is on the Cleveland Browns, like I just said.
Oh, I missed that.
Ah,
I'll say pass. Browns.
Hassan Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, he is competing with David Njoku, but he was running around in the slot acting like a wide receiver. Got a
Hmm.
bunch of targets. All that is to say, there are many tight end options as always. Let's go to defense real quick. We've got Dallas against Russell Wilson, and we've got New England against Tua Tagovailoa. Are you picking up either Dallas or New England at defense?
Dallas played okay last week.
Dallas did play reasonably well on defense against Philly, especially after that
Yeah.
long ass lightning delay.
Yeah, I'll pick it. Yeah, Dallas.
All right, Dallas is a smash. We'll pass on New England then, and that brings us to the kicker. We're going with Spencer Schrader because his name is fun to say. Smash or pass?
I love an alliterative name. Smash.
Done. And that's it. Week 1 is over. The 4-month sprint has begun. Sarah, thank you so much for joining the first pod as our first breakdown, or not the first pod, the first breakdown pod.
Yeah.
Any final words as we head into
I
week
have a
2?
theory I would like to share with everyone. So we see Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, QB1, QB2 on the week, okay? Josh Allen, recently married. Justin Herbert, in a new relationship. Speculation, but we think in a new relationship.
What do we know about Justin Herbert?
He's dating Madison Bear, who is a singer.
Who I've never even heard that name in my life.
It's okay, she's not very relevant. But anyways, my point is they're both in their honeymoon phases. So I would say target other players who also recently got married or are in new relationships within like the first 6-month mark. Because they're happy.
Interesting analysis. All right. I have not done that analysis. Maybe you'll have to post some recommendations based on that, type of ad into the chat because I got no idea. I don't know who's. I mean, I guess there's the one guy who I wouldn't say who's definitely on somebody's roster. But with that, interesting analysis to end off. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Let's see those ads on your team. We will end the show there. Until next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, Sarah. Good luck this week. I'll see you all next week.
Thank you.